Whenever you think about the world's biggest stages, you you tend to picture these heavily curated, just meticulously planned environments.
Oh, for sure. Like a massive international sporting event.
Right, exactly, like a Continental Olympics or something. You expect the artists to be these precision-engineered machines delivering these really calculated routines.
Yeah, where the spectacle completely overshadows the raw human element.
Totally. The fireworks, the wind machines, all of that. You expect glitter and, you expect polish.
Well, it's the ultimate pursuit of a frictionless performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
When hundreds of millions of people are watching you, the natural instinct for any broadcaster is just risk mitigation.
Yeah, you want a tested formula.
Exactly. You want the staging to be immaculate, the choreography to hit perfectly, and the vocal to sound like straight off a Spotify playlist.
But then you step into the world of the Eurovision Song Contest.
And all the rules just go out the window.
They really do. Suddenly, that whole paradigm gets completely inverted. It's this musical landscape where the unexpected isn't just a byproduct, it is practically the governing rule.
It really is the DNA of the contest.
And that brings us to the core of what we are unpacking in our deep dive today. We're looking at Norway's 2026 entry, and we are staring down a question that has honestly completely divided everyone.
Yeah, the fandom, the press, the betting markets, they are all fractured over this.
Right. So let's set the stage for you. It's May 4th, 2026.
We are exactly 8 days away from the first semifinal.
8 days in Vienna, Austria, and the tension is just palpable.
So today our focus is on Jonas Lovv. He's a 29-year-old Norwegian artist, and he's set to close out semifinal 2 with this track called Ya Ya Ya.
Which is such a wild title, but the mystery here is really the evolution of the guy himself.
It's fascinating.
Like, how does a guy who spent years singing synth pop transform into this guitar-shredding rock frontman?
Right, it doesn't seem to make sense on paper.
And how does he manage to completely dismantle a Norwegian musical legend in the national finals?
That's the million-dollar question.
And most importantly, is Jonas Lovv really bringing this raw garage band vibe to a competition that is globally famous for its sequins and, high-gloss choreography?
Well, to answer that, we really have to trace the architecture of his career.
Let's do it.
Because you don't just wake up one morning and successfully execute an aggressive rock anthem on a stage of this magnitude.
Right. Right, you need stamina.
Exactly. Jonas Lovv Hellesy's journey is, it's what industry veterans would call a 12-year overnight success.
12 years?
Yeah. Our sources track his first major public swing way back to 2014.
Wow, okay.
That's when he auditioned for Idol.
Which, when you think about it, is a massive lifetime ago in pop culture years.
Oh, totally a different era.
2014, he's putting himself through the reality TV ringer right at the start of his career.
Precisely. But the thing is, he didn't just ride that reality TV wave and fade out like so many do.
Yeah, he stuck with it.
He put his head down and did the really unglamorous work. For several years, he was actually the lead vocalist in a synth-pop trio.
Wait, a trio?
Yeah, called Shuffle Baby. And they released singles steadily right up until 2020.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because the vocal mechanics of this pivot are wild to me.
Oh, the techno shift is massive.
Right. If you are fronting a synth-pop trio, your job as a vocalist is often just to blend in.
Exactly, you're part of the texture.
Yeah, synth-pop relies on heavily compressed, often breathy vocal takes. You sit right in the middle register so you don't clash with the synthesizers.
Right.
So to go from that to chest-belting, distorted rock vocals, that isn't just a genre switch. That requires physically retraining your vocal cords, doesn't it?
That is an incredibly astute observation. You are entirely retraining your physical instrument.
It's crazy.
In a trio, like you said, your voice is a component of a machine. But in rock, your voice is the engine.
Yeah.
You have to manipulate your vocal folds to create grit and distortion, but without causing nodules or long-term damage.
Which is so easy to do if you sing rock wrong.
Exactly. So the fact that he spent years doing synth pop and then successfully evolved into a rock vocalist, it suggests this really deep, deliberate period of artistic isolation.
Yeah, he had to be working in secret on this.
He was clearly searching for a sonic identity that just didn't fit into the Shuffle Baby mold.
And you kind of see that search continue when he goes solo.
Yeah, we do. By 2023, he drops an EP called Fotografisk Min.
Which translates to photographic memory for our English listeners.
Right. And he releases it under Stay Fabulous Records.
Okay, cool.
And he's putting out these Norwegian language singles, tracks like Naken, Blind, and Aldri Tilbeck.
So he's establishing himself as this solitary storyteller singing in his native language.
Yes, but then he goes right back to the crucible.
The reality TV crucible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In 2025, just last year, he enters season 10 of The Voice.
Nor's best to stem.
Right. And he actually battles his way all the way to the semifinals.
Okay, we really need to look at the psychological conditioning of that ecosystem.
Oh, it's brutal.
Idol and The Voice are unforgiving environments. You are subjected to the glare of studio lighting, the intense pressure of weekly live eliminations.
And the instant, often really harsh public feedback.
Exactly. Doing Idol in 2014 taught him how to be molded, I think.
That makes sense.
But doing The Voice in 2025, after a decade of the industry grind, that allowed him to prove his technical mastery.
Yeah, this isn't a TikTok artist who got lucky with an algorithm and is suddenly terrified of a live microphone.
No, this is a battle-tested veteran. He knows exactly how to metabolize adrenaline when that red light turns on.
He really does.
But, I mean, I buy the technical conditioning. He has the stage mileage. But anyone can hit a note.
Right.
To perform a song as visceral as "Ya, Ya, Ya," you need an emotional anchor that isn't just like, I really want to win a singing contest.
You need real stakes.
Yes. And there is a deeply grounded, frankly harrowing offstage reality anchoring this guy.
There really is. The emotional architecture of his performance is deeply tied to his personal life.
Tell us about that.
So, Jonas is married, and he has a young son. But the context surrounding fatherhood for him is, it's really critical.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Prior to having his child, Jonas underwent a medical operation.
Okay.
And following that procedure, he was informed by doctors that his chances of ever having children had drastically decreased.
Oh, wow. I really want to sit with that for a second for you listening. Imagine holding on to a deeply foundational human dream.
The desire to build a family.
Yeah, and having a medical professional look you in the eye and essentially tell you the math is completely against you.
It's devastating.
The psychological weight of that kind of prognosis is just crushing. Your body might not let you do this.
It fundamentally alters your relationship with the future.
How so?
Well, when a future you had envisioned is suddenly thrown into extreme doubt by a biological reality you can't control, it changes your molecular structure.
Yeah, it forces an existential reckoning, I imagine.
Absolutely. But then, against those overwhelming medical odds, he and his wife welcomed a son. It is, in every practical sense for them, a real-life miracle.
That gives me chills. But how does that translate to a guy screaming into a microphone in Vienna?
Well, think about it. It translates into the complete dissolution of performance anxiety.
Oh, I see.
When you have faced a profound personal crucible, right? When you've stared down the fragility of life itself.
The anxiety of hitting a wrong note suddenly feels minuscule.
Exactly. Or facing a skeptical music critic. Who cares? It gives him what we might call a nothing-to-lose intensity.
Yeah, the desperation, the vulnerability.
And the fierce, defiant joy of simply being alive and having the family he thought he might lose. That becomes the fuel.
So he isn't just putting on a rock and roll costume.
No, not at all. He is unleashing a deeply authentic survivor's energy on that stage.
And that nothing-to-lose mentality is exactly the armor he needed, because his next step was walking into an absolute buzzsaw of a national selection.
Oh, it was a gauntlet.
He takes this aggressive energy into Melodi Grand Prix 2026.
Right. The Norwegian selection process for Eurovision. Melodi Grand Prix, or MGP, is a monumental cultural institution in Norway.
It's huge there.
The 2026 edition was the 64th iteration of the contest, and it culminated on February 28th at Håkonshall in Lillehammer.
Which is a massive arena, but the journey to that stage started much smaller, didn't it?
It did, and arguably much harder. It started in the radio phase.
Ah, right, the MGP keep-in.
Yes. In late January, the selection process began on the NRK P1 radio program Niedemann.
Okay.
And during this phase, the public voted entirely online, solely based on what they heard over the airwaves.
I love that they do this. It strips away all the smoke and mirror.
Exactly. No visual distraction.
You don't have lasers. You don't have choreography. You don't have a charismatic lead singer staring down the camera lens. You just have the sound waves.
Right.
Jonas had to prove that the fundamental composition of Ya, Ya, Ya could arrest a listener who was, like, probably just driving to work or making breakfast.
It's the ultimate litmus test for songwriting.
Hmm.
And Ya, Ya, Ya passed it, securing his spot in the final at Håkonshall.
But the final was not a coronation. It was a massive uphill battle.
Oh, absolutely. He was facing Emma, singing Northern Lights, who had a massive wave of fan support.
Yeah, she was a favorite.
But far more intimidatingly, he was facing Alexander Rybak singing Rise.
Okay, we know you listening to this probably don't need a history lesson on Alexander Rybak,
He is the Titan.
the 2009 record breaker. But let's analyze the gravity of what it means to face him in a Norwegian national final.
It's terrifying.
Going up against Rybak in Norway is like playing one-on-one basketball against Michael Jordan in Chicago.
That is a perfect analogy.
You aren't just fighting the performer, you are fighting the immense nostalgia and the fierce loyalty the Norwegian public has for the guy who brought the trophy home.
Right. It's an almost insurmountable psychological barrier for a competitor. The assumption is often that the legend will just coast on residual goodwill.
But Jonas didn't just compete, he totally dominated.
He really did. The final results at MGP are determined by a 60-40 split.
Break that down for us.
So it's 60% from the Norwegian public televote and 40% from an international jury of music professionals.
Okay.
Jonas Lovv took the crown with a total of 265 points. Rybak came in second with 192 points, and Emma finished third with 127.
The margin of victory is wild. 265 and 192. He dunked on a legend.
He really did. But the internal math of that split is what really catches my eye.
Yeah, why is that?
Let's look at the mechanics. Jonas secured 169 points from the public, decisively crushing Rybak's 126.
Okay, so the public clearly resonated with the raw energy.
Yes, but the truly shocking data point is the jury. Jonas won the international jury vote as well.
Wait, really?
Yes, he scored 96 points to Rybak's 66.
But why is that shocking? I mean, juries exist to judge music, right?
Because international Eurovision juries historically penalize heavy rock and aggressive erratic live performances.
Oh, that's true. They look for pristine vocals and radio-friendly pop.
Exactly. They want intricate composition and flawless technical execution. Rock vocals, by their nature, push the limits of pitch control because of the distortion and physical movement required.
So for an international jury to look at Alexander Rybak
It's a master of classical instrumentation and pop melody. Yeah.
and decide to give their highest points to a guy screaming about broken bones,
It signals a massive technical achievement.
it tells us that Ya 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 is structurally brilliant.
Yes, Jonas didn't miss a single note while delivering that chaotic energy.
Okay, so he conquered the radio listeners, he conquered the nostalgic public, and he conquered the musical snobs on the jury.
He ran the table.
We really need to dissect the anatomy of the song that pulled this off. What exactly is happening in the 2 minutes and 50 seconds of Ya Ya Ya?
Structurally, it's an English-language rock track. It was co-written by Jonas Lovv and Sondre Skaften.
And Skaften also produced it, right?
Yes, and this dual role for Skaften is critical.
How so?
Well, when your co-writer is also your producer, the translation from the acoustic idea to the final master is totally seamless.
There is no dilution of the artistic vision.
Exactly. You don't lose anything in translation,
And visually, they brought in Mona Berntsen as the stage director.
which is a brilliant move. Berntsen is a visionary within the MGP ecosystem.
She directed some recent heavy-hitting Norwegian entries, didn't she?
She did. She was responsible for the staging of Ulveham in 2024 and Lighter in 2025.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Her philosophy often revolves around stark, high-contrast visual storytelling. She understands how to take aggressive sonic energy and translate it into camera angles.
Like angles that make the viewer feel like the artist is practically climbing through the television screen.
Precisely. And the visual needs to be intense because the lyrics are incredibly dark.
I mean, I have the lyric sheet here, and it reads more like a psychological thriller than a pop song.
It's very intense.
The themes are centered around this animalistic loss of control. He sings, "Baby, I'm an animal. I got no self-control. Left it right all over you and your pretty clothes."
Yeah, and then in the pre-chorus, it hits this visceral wall.
Right. I got some broken bones.
The imagery is unsparing. He invokes bleeding, broken bones, and total systemic failure.
Like the lyric, "bleeding right all over me till I fall apart." It leaves very little to the imagination.
It really doesn't.
I am genuinely wrestling with the narrative here, though.
What do you mean?
Well, he sings, "Pretty little liar, put your makeup on, bang bang, goes that broken heart." My question is this a love song? Or is it a song about being utterly destroyed by someone else's manipulation?
That's the big debate.
It feels so self-destructive. It feels like the antithesis of the typical European unity anthem you hear at Eurovision.
Well, the ambiguity is exactly what gives the lyrics their bite. It operates on both levels,
Yeah.
the destruction of a relationship and the destruction of the self.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the genius of the composition is the cognitive dissonance it creates.
Explain that a bit more.
You have these dark, painful lyrics about manipulation and physical trauma, right? But they are fused to an incredibly driving, repetitive, upbeat pop rock hook. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's insidious. The hook just burrows into your prefrontal cortex.
It really does.
You find yourself tapping your foot to a song about a guy emotionally bleeding out.
It's a classic musical sleight of hand. The intellect is processing the dark narrative of the verses, but the body is involuntarily reacting to the infectious rhythm of the chorus.
And this juxtaposition is vital for Eurovision, isn't it?
Absolutely. A song that is purely dark and slow alienates the casual viewer,
Right.
but a song that is purely upbeat pop is easily forgotten.
Yeah, there's a million of those.
But a song that pairs trauma with a stadium chant hook, that forces the brain to pay attention because it breaks expected patterns.
But breaking patterns comes at a cost, obviously. When you hand something this unvarnished to the critics, you aren't going to get a consensus.
No, not at all.
And the Norwegian press reaction to "Ya Ya Ya" was essentially a civil war.
The critical landscape was violently polarized.
Hmm.
The media outlets split into distinct camps.
Let's hear the positive side first.
So on the highly positive side, Jim Edegaard Peterson from NRK awarded it a perfect 6 out of 6.
Wow, okay.
His analysis focused on the live execution,
Yeah.
calling the vocals outstanding and the performance intense and energetic.
Nice.
Interestingly, he compared the track's vibe to a hybrid of the White Stripes and Benson Boone.
That is a wild sonic cocktail.
Isn't it?
The White Stripes give you that raw, blues-driven, stripped-down garage rock, right? Just pure distortion and attitude.
Exactly.
And Benson Boone brings that modern, highly emotive, almost theatrical vocal pop.
Right.
So if Jonas is sitting at the intersection of Jack White and Benson Boone, that is a massive vocal flex.
And TV2's Linehouse completely agreed, also giving it a 6 out of 6.
What did she say about it?
She highlighted Lov's charming arrogance on stage.
Charming arrogance. I love that.
It's the holy grail for a rock frontman. You have to look like you own the arena, but not cross the line into alienating the viewer.
Right. You can't be off-putting.
House noted that his connection with the camera created a genuine concert feeling, transcending the typical television broadcast vibe.
And didn't someone else upgrade their review after seeing it live?
Yes. We saw Ralph Lofstad at Dagbladet experience a real-time conversion.
Oh, that's right.
He initially gave the studio track a 5 out of 6, but after witnessing the physical live performance at Håkon's Hall, he upgraded it to a perfect 6. He labeled the guitar-heavy rock song as simply fantastic.
But then we look at the other side of the aisle and the dives are fully out. Netavisen was not having it.
Far from it. Maria Ludvigsen from Netavisen handed down a 4 out of 6.
Okay, that's not terrible, but definitely a step down.
Right. While she conceded that his raw voice was a fundamental strength, she found the structural execution of certain parts of the song to be awkward.
Awkward. Ouch.
But the truly scathing critique came from Paul Nisha Wilhelmsen, who dropped a 3 out of 6 rating.
Oh, wow. What was his argument?
His argument was built on a perceived irony. He called it generic pop rock that entirely lacked the raw animal energy the lyrics promised.
Oh, man.
He essentially accused the song of wearing a rock costume without actually having the teeth.
So half the country's critics are calling it a masterclass in modern rock energy, and the other half are calling it awkward, generic cosplay.
Pretty much.
I actually think this is the best possible scenario for Jonas. I call this the cilantro effect.
The cilantro effect. Okay, I need to hear this.
Yeah. Think about cilantro in cooking. Half the population has a genetic response where they taste it and think it is the brightest, most vibrant, essential flavor in the dish.
Okay, yeah.
The other half tastes it and swears on their life that it tastes exactly like dish soap.
Right, there is no middle ground.
Exactly. But the crucial thing about cilantro is that nobody ever ignores it. You either demand extra or you send the dish back.
That's very true.
Yeah is the cilantro of Eurovision 2026.
I love that analogy.
Because the absolute kiss of death in this contest is being the song that everyone thinks is just fine. If a critic gives you a polite 4 out of 6 and says it's pleasant, the audience will go to the bathroom during your performance.
A deeply accurate culinary analogy. The mechanics of televoting require passion.
Exactly. You don't pick up your phone and pay a voting fee for a song you tolerate.
No, you pay money for a song you violently love, often partly because you know other people hate it.
Yes. The polarization is the catalyst for the vote.
Which brings us to the people whose entire job is to predict how those votes will fall.
The bookmakers.
Yes. We are sitting here in early May, and the international betting markets have released their algorithms.
Let's dig into the math.
So the context of the running order is the primary variable here. On May 14th, Jonas Lovv will be the final act of semifinal 2.
He is performing in slot 15 out of 15.
Yes.
The legendary pimp slot.
Exactly. From a cognitive psychology standpoint, recency bias is a massive factor in Eurovision.
Because they're the last thing you see.
Right. The last song the audience hears right before the voting window opens holds a statistically significant advantage.
That makes total sense.
Because of this placement, the betting markets are highly confident in Norway's progression. Lovv currently has a 73% implied probability of qualifying for the grand final.
Okay, so placing him safely in 8th place among the 10 qualifiers.
Yes.
I mean, 73% is a solid grade. But when we look at the odds of him actually winning semifinal 2, the math completely falls off a cliff.
It really does. The bookmakers give him precisely a 1% chance to win the semifinal.
Just 1%.
The algorithm heavily favors the Polish pop entries.
Who's leading right now?
Australia's Delta Goodrum is the runaway favorite with Eclipse, and she's closely followed by Denmark's Søren Torpegaard Lund.
And this skepticism extends to the grand final too, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Overall, out of all competing nations, Norway is ranked 18th to win the 2026 contest, again holding merely a 1% chance.
So who are the overall favorites to win it all?
They are heavily concentrated in Scandinavia and the Mediterranean. Finland's duo of Linda Lampenius and Pete Parkkonen with Lickenheiten are dominating the predictions alongside Greece and Denmark.
And the breakdown gets even more brutal for Jonas. The Odds Makers Project in Norway will finish 21st in the jury vote and 21st in the televote.
They basically see Jonas qualifying because of his running order and then completely evaporating in the middle of the pack on Saturday night.
I have to challenge the bookies' logic here, though.
Go for it.
They are applying a historical genre penalty to rock. They assume rock has a hard ceiling because it isn't radio-friendly pop.
Well, that is precisely what the algorithm is doing. The betting markets rely on historical aggregates.
Right.
While rock has had explosive moments at Eurovision, the vast majority of historical winners fit a more traditional melodic pop or ballad structure.
Yeah, that's true.
The bookmakers are betting that the polarization we discussed earlier will result in a fractured televote, capping his point potential.
But algorithms don't account for the visceral human reaction of a live crowd. Look at the data from the fans.
The fan response has been wild.
The YouTube comments on the official music video for Ya 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 are painting a completely different picture than the betting odds.
They really are.
We have fans screaming in the comments. One person explicitly wrote, "Most underrated song in Eurovision, in my opinion." Put Bruno Mars or something mainstream, same song, and people would go crazy. It's such a catchy and good song.
It's interesting they mentioned Bruno Mars.
The fans are recognizing the inherent pop brilliance hidden underneath the distorted guitars. Are the bookmakers just fundamentally blind to how this song is going to explode in an arena setting?
The bookmakers have certainly been blind before.
Yeah, they get it wrong.
The inherent flaw in predictive modeling for Eurovision is that you cannot quantify charisma. And you cannot mathematically model the atmospheric pressure of an arena when a performer truly connects.
And if there is one country that absolutely shatters statistical modeling, it is Norway.
Oh, undoubtedly.
To understand Jonas Lovv's true odds, we have to look at the deeply chaotic history of the Norwegian delegation.
Norway's track record at Eurovision is a study in extremes. They do not do mediocrity. They either conquer the continent or crash spectacularly.
Let's run through it.
They have won the contest 3 times, the retro pop of Bobby Socks in 1985,
The classic.
the aforementioned Alexander Rybak in 2009, and perhaps most relevantly, Secret Garden in 1995 with Nocturne.
Nocturne is the ultimate proof that Norway takes risks. The entire song had only 24 words.
24 words.
The rest of the 3 minutes was just atmospheric, haunting violin solos. It defied every single rule of European pop music, and it won the whole thing.
It was an avant-garde masterpiece. And in a way, Ya 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 is the inverse of that avant-garde spirit.
Instead of ethereal silence, it's unrelenting noise.
Exactly. But Norway's willingness to take risks also explains their darkest records.
Oh, boy.
They hold the all-time record for finishing in last place, having done so 10 separate times.
10 times.
And on 4 of those occasions, 1963, 1978, 1981, and 1997, they scored absolute zero, no points.
10 last place finishes. 4 zeros. They literally swing for the fences every time.
They do. Furthermore, the contest's overarching history proves that semifinal odds often mean nothing once the grand final begins.
What do you mean?
Well, the semifinal era, which began in 2004, is littered with paradoxes. In 2008, Russia's Dima Bilan only managed third place in his semifinal, but went on to win the grand final.
Right.
Most staggeringly, in 2016, Jamala won the entire contest for Ukraine, despite having lost her semifinal to Australia days earlier.
So the dynamic shifts entirely when the full continent votes.
Exactly. The timeline of success is totally unpredictable, too. Look at Portugal.
Oh, that's a great example.
Portugal competed for 49 years without a single victory, nearly half a century of losing.
Wow.
And then Salvador Sobral showed up in 2017 with a quiet jazz ballad, and not only won, but scored 758 points.
The highest mathematical total in the history of the contest.
That is the power of the platform. When a moment connects, the cultural resonance is earth-shattering.
And the impact extends far beyond music, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Look at 2004, when Ruslana won for Ukraine with her intense tribal performance of wild dances.
Right, our sources noted that.
The cultural galvanization was so profound that she was subsequently elected to the Ukrainian parliament. A single 3-minute performance can rewrite national identity.
Just a note for you listening, we're just reporting the historical fact of her election there to show the scale of the contest's impact, not taking a stance on the politics themselves. But it's wild how big this gets.
It's massive.
So looking at this massive mosaic we've built, right?
Yeah.
The Norwegian history of 0 points and avant-garde victories, the reality TV grit, the medical miracles, the cilantro-level polarization of the critics.
It's a lot to weigh.
Is Jonas Lovv walking into Vienna with a safe bet? Or is the ultimate high-wire act?
It is the defining high-risk, high-reward gamble of the 2026 season. Operating in the middle of the road at Eurovision is a guaranteed death sentence.
Right.
The artists who survive are the ones who force the audience to feel something, even if that feeling is discomfort. Jonas Lovv is bringing friction to a frictionless environment.
And we've journeyed today from a guy facing the total loss of his family dreams, retraining his synth-pop vocal cords to scream out his demons.
Defeating the biggest giant in Norwegian music history.
Yeah, taking down a legend, and now staring down a betting algorithm that says he has a 1% chance of victory.
Which brings us to the final, unavoidable question.
What's that?
The bookmakers have run their simulations, the critics have drawn their battle lines, but history demands that we look past the math.
Always.
When Jonas Lovv steps onto that stage in Vienna, closing out the semifinal in the crucial 15th slot, the slick pop tracks and calculated routines will be fresh in the viewers' minds. So as you tune in on May 14th, ask yourself this. In an ecosystem desperately trying to manufacture perfection, is a display of unhinged, bleeding, animalistic rock and roll exactly the shock to the system the voters are secretly craving?